designs in the history of the automobile that get to be called legendary. And when a legendary design does come into existence, it's usually short-lived. A car that is revolutionary soon after just becomes another car. Like a bee, it stings and then dies. But every once in a while, something comes along with staying power. A look that is utterly timeless. Think the Ford Mustang, Porsche 911, or Chevy Savannah. But then there's something even more special. A design that goes on to define the brand itself. A style so appreciated that 70 years later, it is still remembered. The often talked about, but seldom understood, a titan of automotive styling, the Packard Grille. Packard is like Duesenberg. Even if you don't know anything about the car, you know the name stands for something great, something luxurious. Packard would be introduced to the world in 1899 and would soon set itself apart as one of the finest cars, not just in the United States, but the world. The company would emerge from the horseless carriage days by building fabulous cars like the V12 Twin 6, straight-eight roadsters, and beautiful town sedans. It would be the first automaker with air conditioning in 1940 and would build V12 engines during World War II. Packard, for a time, was on top of the world. The brand would be known as one of the, quote, 3 Ps of luxury, along with Peerless and Pierce Arrow. And unlike European and some American companies, Packard would cultivate a refined image without the use of racing for the most part. Instead, they would focus on quality, smooth-riding cars. In an ironic twist, some of the hardest years for Packards would spawn their greatest cars ever. The Great Depression would lead to a time of desperation, but also gorgeous coach-built cars with towering presence, and of course, their iconic bumper-to-hood grilles. Packard would survive the Great Depression unlike the other two, quote, P cars, but would sadly be phased out in 1958 after struggling to compete in the post-war world. How did Packard come up with this design, and why did it stick around for so long? Let's try and find out. It's 1903, the Wright brothers are flying, the Springfield rifle is out, and Marie Curie just won a Nobel Prize. And Packard would unveil their new Model L to the public, and along with it, a new front end. They didn't know it at the time, but this would be the look that their cars would have for over 50 years. The grille was designed by Packard's lead designer, Charles Schmidt. Schmidt was a Frenchman who worked for the Moores Car Company before moving to Packard in 1903. He wouldn't stay with Packard for long, but he would leave a massive impact. And it was obvious that he had worked for Moores. With the Packard placed next to a Moores, it was obvious that the two cars had the same father. The design for both looked very architectural, with the same center arch and general proportions, and according to my wife, they look exactly the same. What are you gonna do? But if I'm being honest, I prefer the look of the Packard to the Moores. The Moores radiator is very wide open and devoid of any styling beyond the very top of the radiator shell, while the Packard contains an additional element. Those little inserts on the inside near the top of the radiator add a whole other layer of the design that I think works pretty well. Those small elements were inspired by architecture again, and were similarly named. The so-called cusp would remain a quiet part of the Packard design for years. But of course, the most iconic part of the grille is the top, the so-called tombstone shape, a beautiful combination of straight angled lines and a semicircle hump in the middle. When I was a kid trying to identify cars, it was this part that I used to figure out that the car was a Packard, similar to Pierce Arrow's headlights or Corvette's taillights. Packard soon enough would recognize how important this shape was and would begin to use the grille as a logo in some advertisements and plaques. The grille wouldn't just become part of Packard, in a way it was Packard. It was the easiest way for a person to identify the values that the brand stood for. It was probably more effective than their popular "Ask the Man Who Owns One" slogan. The radiator shape wouldn't change too much initially. It would lose its brass around 1915 and would adopt a more modern body color design. As the 1920s would approach, the grille would get taller and would become more defined, and the shell would be nickel plated to stand out from the body. Some cars would also include a mesh radiator, which kind of looks nice. 1932 would arguably be the biggest change to the design since the introduction. Right in the middle of the Great Depression, Packard needed a new, elegant, beautiful look if they were going to survive. And beautiful and elegant it was. The grille would have chrome strips that would meet a curved horizontal element at the top, and above that, the grille pattern would repeat as it blended into the body. The grille would also open and close to let in air to cool the car down. Packard loved the look so much that even the headlights had little bitty Packard grills on them. 1932 would also have the slightly awkward 900 series Light 8 model with a curved bottom portion to the design for 1 year only. As the Depression wore on, the grille would begin to lean backwards a little and grow narrower. For 1940, the grille would become extremely narrow compared to the previous models, and side grills called catwalks were added. The Packard look was so iconic that even the Soviets would shamelessly rip off the design with the ZIS-115, which was an armored car for heads of states. But something would change with the post-war Packards, and not for the better. This channel is called PrewarMotoring after all. After the war, the company would introduce probably their most controversial design, the 1949 Packard. This car was a complete departure from what had made Packard famous for decades. Gone were the huge chrome grills and sweeping fenders. Now the car was smooth, almost like the rest of it had been sanded off. And the time they were called bathtub cars owing to their looks. The grille would become widened and a lower element would begin to creep up.
Introducing America's smartest sports car, the exclusive new Packard Caribbean, for those who want the very finest in a sports car.
Fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on who you ask, a new Packard for 1951 would be unveiled. This model's kind of odd to me too. It's beautiful, but it's like they took a massive grille and chopped the bottom off of it, leaving a kind of smashed look that might have been cool back in the day. And as you can see, even though this 1951 Packard is almost 50 years newer than the 1904 Packard, it still has all of the design elements. Like I said, maybe a little odd, but still very beautiful. For 1955, Packard would have a truly mid-century modern design. And while their iconic look is there, it's barely there. Like how RC Cola kinda tastes like Coke, the top still has the rough shape, but the designers were trying to make a low, wide look, and it just didn't work as well as it could have, unfortunately. It's like the car was sad. There was a concept car for 1955 that was maybe a little polarizing, but it did attempt to give the older proportions a space-age treatment, but it never made it to production. And in 1957, it was somehow even worse. Really, the only thing left was two tiny cuts below the headlights. By this point, the brand identity was effectively dead. And sadly, we all know how this story ends. The 1958 What the Hell model. This car was nothing more than a desperate attempt to survive by the newly merged Studebaker Packard company. The 1958 cars were obviously not Packards, but Studebakers, and were called Packard Bakers by the skeptical public during its day. And you sharp-eyed viewers can tell, the grille is no longer there in any capacity. 1958 would be the last year for Packard, a sad whimper to a once triumphant car. But the story of Packard's famous grille actually lasts longer than the company that made it. Even though Packard the company was dead, some models sporting the look would pop up decades later. One example is the 1998 Packard, which is a sentence, sporting a very 1949 style grille, but it's all there. The 1998 Packard was an attempt to resurrect the long-lost brand and sadly failed. More recently is the 2025 Packard Excellence, which is a coach-built Bentley. Cool car, but a dumb grille if I'm being honest, but it was still again a reference to the greatness of the original Packards. But this all just goes to show how legendary this grille is. For decades it was part of our roads, and then one day it vanished. It's unlikely that there will ever be a Packard again. But don't be sad that it's over. Be happy that Packard had the chance to make such beautiful cars with the time that it had.